presentation and discussion and announcement today. You know, across the United States today, there are nearly 100,000 schools and residential child care facilities that are providing meals and snacks to young people. 15.3 million children every single day in those schools enjoy a school breakfast. 29.6 million of our children enjoy a school lunch. So it's really important for us to understand the significance and importance of the standards that we announce today. I was curious in looking at the history of the school lunch and school breakfast program in terms of what Congress said when they established these programs. That was interesting that in the first paragraph of the Russell school lunch bill, Congress basically suggested it was a measure of national security to safeguard the health and well-being of our nation's children and to encourage the consumption of domestically produced nutritious agricultural commodities. And that's the reason we're here today. It is an issue of national security. It is an issue that impacts and affects the health and well-being of our children. And obviously, it's an opportunity as well to support our farmers. The school lunch and school breakfast standards that we announced today didn't just happen. They happened as a result of a tremendous amount of feedback that we received and have received over the course of several years as we prepared to launch these final rules. As everyone who is engaged in this issue is aware, we have had a transition period where we're transitioning from where we were during the pandemic to a place where we will resume compliance with the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act and the standards in that act. But we listened. We received a lot of input, several thousand comments. We had over 50 listening sessions where we spent time really focusing and thinking about what these standards ought to be. We obviously look and focus on the nutrition science as it exists today, and certainly look to the dietary guidelines as sort of the guidelines by which we have to make sure that the standards that we embrace and adopt are very consistent with those dietary guidelines. And we also have to take into consideration the real world experiences of those who are on the front lines of preparing these meals every single day. And I should say that we are indebted to the school nutrition personnel and operators across the United States for the amazing work they do every single day, but certainly the tremendous effort that they undertook during the course of the pandemic to make sure that the children and families were being fed during the pandemic. And I also want to acknowledge the tremendous work of our food and nutrition service staff. Leadership team there have worked incredibly hard for this day and are excited about the launch today. Why is it significant that we have nutrition standards? Well, you know, the Freeman School of Nutrition at Tufts indicated after studying where children have access to foods outside of the home that the highest nutritional quality of meals that are prepared for young people in this country are at schools. So the standards are a way of making sure that we continue to meet that standard. The Center for Disease Control indicated a deep concern about the rising rate of obesity, more than triple in the rate of obesity among children and adolescents since the 1970s. 1 in 5 of America's children today are certainly challenged with the level of obesity, and it happens to be 1 in 4 of Hispanic and African American children. That's a heavy burden for those youngsters to carry, and it results oftentimes in low self-esteem, and it sometimes results in academic performance that is not up to the potential of those young people. And so it's important for us to understand the significance that these standards have on that very issue. It was interesting, a Health Affairs published study recently reported that for children in poverty, the rate of obesity declined significantly and substantially each year after the implementation of the Healthy, Hunger-Free Kids Act and the standards for higher nutritional quality. And in fact, obesity would have been 47% higher for those kids by 2018 if there had not been the standards in place. So this is a national security imperative. It's a healthcare imperative for our children. It's an equity issue It's an educational achievement issue, and it's certainly an economic competitiveness issue, because if youngsters are not able to learn at the rate that they need to learn because of a variety of circumstances, we're just not going to be as competitive as we need to be. You know, school meals for about half of our children is the main source of nutrition. So it's important for us to listen. It's important for us to get this right. So as we listened, we learned that we needed to have a degree of flexibility in these standards. We need to phase in some of the changes that are going to take place to give people the opportunity to do this right. So we begin in the school year 2024 and 2025 with full implementation of all the standards across the board by the school year 2029-2030. Here are some of the takeaways that you'll see as you look at the rules and standards that are being proposed. In the area of milk, we're offering a set of options relative to access to low-fat and fat-flavored milk. The challenge, I think, for us is to determine who should receive the opportunity for flavored milk, and so we're soliciting input on that very issue. In sodium, we're looking at gradual reductions in both breakfast and lunch offerings. Now, we're phasing that in small increments. And why are we doing that? Because the Food and Drug Administration's guidelines are suggesting that that's the most appropriate way to embrace sodium reductions and at the same time continue to have acceptance. Sugar, for the first time, we're looking at an added sugar standard, phasing that in as well. Building on what we know already exists in the marketplace of low sugar products that we are currently using in our child and adult care food programs. And on whole grains, we continue to prioritize whole grains with some flexibility in that standard as well. We understand and appreciate it's important to create that link between producers of the foods that our youngsters are consuming and our youngsters. And for that reason, the standards that we address and announce today but really are going to focus on trying to figure out ways in which we can encourage better linkage between local and regional food suppliers and schools. We look forward to the opportunity to listen and learn about these proposed standards as we launch them today. There's going to be a comment period of 60 days where people will be able to weigh in on what they think we got right, or where they think there needs to be modifications, and we'll take all that information into consideration. In order to help for some schools that continue to struggle with this, we're also establishing and announcing today a coalition or a partnership with Action for Healthy Kids. You know, we have a Healthy Meals initiative, which we announced several months ago, and this is going to provide resources to the Action for Healthy Kids, and they're going to form a series of cooperative agreements where they're going to be able to make a series of grants to small and rural schools, potentially up to $150,000, to assist these schools in making the transition. It may be a staff issue, it may be food cost issue, it may be space or equipment needs. We know that they need help. This is a continuation of the work that we've done over the last 2 years to try to be listening and helpful as school districts deal with the many challenges that they face in terms of school nutrition. We also want to recognize, and our Action for Healthy Kids cooperative arrangement is going to allow us to also make a series of recognition awards for schools that are currently meeting or exceeding the standards. We want to lift up best practices. We want to acknowledge the good work that's being done by school nutrition operators all across America. And there'll be a series of healthy meal summits where we'll be able to provide information, the technical assistance and training, ways in which we can continue to be a solid partner with our school nutrition operators. Well, we're excited about this opportunity to launch these standards today. We're going to have a moderated discussion in just a few minutes. We have three very special guests. Shannon Ebron is with us today. She's the director of the child nutrition for the Riverview Gardens School District in St. Louis, Missouri. That is a job that involves the operation of 13 different schools in a centralized kitchen. No easy task there, that's for sure, and we're certainly happy to have Sharon with us today. We're pleased to have Jamie Walker Solis, who is an equity innovator and a special ed teacher from my home state, from the Davenport Community Schools in Davenport, Iowa, a 25-year veteran, special ed teacher for the Davenport Community District. And boy, great to have teachers who understand and appreciate the importance of proper nutrition and great learning that's taking place in our schools. And finally, an opportunity for us to welcome April Eide, who is the president of the Alaska PTA Board of Managers, which is made up of the PTA volunteers from the state who serve as advocates for education in Alaska and work to assist PTA units across the state. Certainly appreciate the partnership we've had with PTA and the important role that parents obviously play in making sure that nutrition at schools is what it needs to be. So we'll be hearing from those three individuals in just a few minutes. But before we do, we have a short video that we'd like to show that sort of underscores the significance of what we're doing here in terms of standards and why this really embraces a wide variety of and critical needs for the nation. So with that, I'll ask the team to roll the video.
Hello everyone, my name is Dr. Kofi Essel, community pediatrician at Children's National Hospital in Washington, D.C. When schools were closed in the early days of the pandemic, my colleagues and I began to realize the essential role that school meals played in supporting our families. The truth is that school meals have been shown to be the most nutritious meals that kids receive throughout their day. We have come a long way in improving its nutritional value and have seen many states and school districts make the decision to ensure that all students have access to a nutritious school meal at no charge. But you know what? We can do better. We must support policy that continues to improve the quality and accessibility of school meals nationwide. Why, you may ask? To optimize the health of the next generation, to empower families and decrease stress, and lastly, to ensure that no child goes hungry. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rich Gross. I'm a retired Army Brigadier General and a member of Mission Readiness, a nonprofit organization of nearly 800 admirals and generals who focus on strengthening national security by ensuring kids stay in school, in shape, and out of trouble. Today, approximately 77% of our nation's youth are ineligible to volunteer for military service, and obesity is the most common medical disqualifier. At Mission Readiness, we believe it's critical that all kids, regardless of what career path they may choose to pursue, have access to healthy, nutritious food. Improving existing school nutrition standards is a necessary step toward enhancing the health of our youth. It's critical to preserving our national security. On behalf of all the Mission Readiness members, thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Chef Lorena Garcia. I know firsthand the power of a healthy meal. With 1 in 8 kids in America living with hunger, too many of our kids are missing the healthy meals they need to grow up strong. I am proud to work through my organization, Big Chef Chef, to change that. And there's no place better to find a meal than at school. School meals are an important source of nutrition and a lifeline to many students. We all need to do our part to make sure school meals are as healthy as they can be, and that the amazing school nutrition professionals working to feed the kids at school have the resources they need. Thank you all for working to ensure all kids have the food they need to thrive.
Well, that's certainly a tough act to follow, but we've got 3 great guests who I think will be able to meet that challenge. Earlier I had an opportunity to speak to a group, and I shared with them a circumstance, a situation from my childhood. When I was in 4th grade, I had weight problems when I was growing up, and I was made fun of by my teacher, actually, because I couldn't do a math problem at the board, and she suggested it was because of my weight. And so I'm particularly sensitive about this issue of nutrition and children, and making sure that we do it right for kids, because I don't want anybody to have to go through an experience like the one I experienced. And so I think each of you are engaged and involved in all of this for a particular reason, not just because it's your job or because it's because you are a parent, but I think you must be coming to this with a personal passion. So Sharon, let me start with you, and Shannon, and let me ask you, why do you do what you do? And then I'm going to go to Jamie, and then I'll go to April.
I'm just really passionate about school meals because the community that I serve in as a child nutrition director, I know that my students experience food insecurity, and school meals help to reduce that food insecurity. We operate the community eligibility program in my district, where over 70% of my students directly certify for free breakfast and lunch. So we're serving them a free breakfast and a free lunch every day. And I know that this might be the only meal that some of my students receive for the day. This might be the only meals that they eat or at school. And we know that school meals are healthy. Children who eat school meals are eating more fruits, more vegetables, whole grains, low fat and fat-free milk. And this is just really important for them because it just helps them to learn, to play, to grow, and just to make it through the school day. So it's really important for me. And I know that I'm reducing food insecurity in my community.
Jamie?
We know the importance of making sure that all of our students have healthy meals, and with those healthy meals is able to help them to continue throughout their school day. Having that proper nutrition and healthy nutrition throughout the day helps them to keep up with their schoolwork, have a great day with their peers, as well as do a great job on all their activities. And so we want to make sure that when we're providing those meals for them, not only are they healthy for them, but they're also at a cost that's reasonable and affordable. Many of our students receive their food at a different cost or a lower cost, and we're hoping that with additional support that they'll be able to have universal meals provided so that there's no cost for all the students, so all the children be able to have this opportunity to have healthy meals. Thank you.
April, your personal view about this.
So for me, healthy school meals are important as a parent of two kids and as the PTA leader. Healthy children learn better and are more productive, both in and out of the classroom. Children need healthy meals to succeed and live up to their full potential. Healthy meals are critical to a healthy lifestyle, and providing children with healthy meals is essential to instill healthy habits they will carry into adulthood. As a parent, I work hard to provide my kids with balanced meals and healthy snacks. And it is important that these healthy eating habits are also supported at the school, the place where our kids spend the most time outside of our homes. And like our homes, schools are where children learn and reinforce healthy behaviors. As a PTA leader, I also know that for far too many children, school meals are a necessity, not a luxury. And it is essential that they are nutritious. Being a cafe owner, specialtying cupcakes and coffee, I make sure I provide healthy options, fruits, vegetables, salads, to help further along the healthy options. Additionally, living in Alaska, I know it's hard for Alaskans to eat healthy, particularly over the winter months, as fruits often expire within days. Having access to healthy meals in schools is critical to ensure nutritious foods are available to all children. And school meals and snacks are a critical source of nutrients children need to succeed and grow properly.
Well, thank you for that. And thanks for reminding the important role of making sure that the offerings are culturally appropriate for students across this great country. I'd be interested, maybe starting with you, Jamie, in talking about what you think we need to do, what USDA as a supporter, as a partner with local schools, what do you suggest that we can do more of or less of to make it a little bit easier? I'll go from Jamie to April and back to Shannon on that question.
One of the things I believe that the USDA could do is not only to help to provide the healthy initiative, but to help this a healthy initiative with the additional funding. I know that you said for some of the smaller rural areas, you will be providing some additional grants, and I think that is absolutely fabulous. But I know that with income security and increased costs for many families, it's difficult for them to be able to pay for school lunches. So I'm hoping that there'll be some additional costs provided to help school districts to make sure that no child is going without, and that would be a big initiative. I also think that it's amazing that with the new initiative in regards to things being more healthy and more appropriate. And we know that our students need that. With recent legislation in my state, they're looking at reducing the amount of healthy food that people who receive SNAP will be eligible for. And we know that if we are doing this during the day, students are also going to need those healthy initiatives in the evening. And if they're SNAP recipients, they should also have those healthy options. Thank you.
Appreciate those suggestions, and certainly the SNAP program is something that we obviously do pay a lot of attention to, in providing a series of incentives for folks to have access to more fruits and vegetables under that program. And we have been listening to the needs of schools over the last couple of years, providing literally billions of dollars of additional support. So we're very sensitive to that. April, your thoughts about what USDA potentially could do more of or less of in order to be more helpful?
The flexibilities offered during the past few years were tremendously helpful. More students were able to eat, particularly here in Alaska. However, now that those flexibilities have expired, we are again hearing concerns from our school nutrition departments of increasing school lunch debt and the significant barrier this will cause students if they are not able to receive their diploma or other consequences to having unpaid school lunch debt, which is not the fault nor the responsibility of the individual child. We're also hearing concerns around ensuring meals are appealing for children and that the portion size is offered the same whether you're in elementary or high school. And we know calorie intake needs are greater for older children. I know this personally as a mom of a high school junior. Support is needed to increase the capacity of our school kitchens, secure new equipment, hire more workers, and help retain those new employees. We'd like to be able to serve hot meals, but some schools currently are only able to serve cold snack pack type meals or only able to serve reheated prepackaged meals. We believe this really takes away from the appeal for students, and we're concerned about the decrease in nutrients when meals are reheated multiple times. Can the USDA support Alaskans in obtaining more nutritious foods overall and offer technical assistance in how products might be packaged and transported safely to last longer? What options are available to school districts to work with the companies knowledgeable of preserving fruits and vegetables to have a longer shelf life? In Alaska, our PTA school stores help fund grants that we're able to offer back to the school. We have transitioned to offer smart snacks at our stores and work around the schedule of the school lunch service. But how would USDA recommend our local PTAs determine the best role for a PTA school store so that we are not dismantling much critical fundraising opportunities, sometimes around $50,000 to $60,000.
Well, those are a couple of good challenges for us. I will tell you that we are very interested in providing support for schools as they transition to being able to prepare more healthy meals at the school. We have a series of school equipment grant programs that have been launched over the last several years where we've put literally tens of millions of dollars available to schools to be able to transition to buy and purchase equipment and to basically retrofit, if you will, their operations. So I would strongly encourage the PTA to work with the local school districts to make sure that they're accessing those resources and are aware of how to access those resources in order to meet that need. And it's obviously that, we are certainly aware of the need for flexibility. That's one of the reasons why what you will see is this, we've had a transition going from the way things were prior to the pandemic, obviously significant flexibilities during the pandemic for obvious reasons. And as we sort of evolve from the pandemic, we are gradually going back to the standards as they were before the pandemic, but it's gradual. We had a series of bridge years that we're in right now. The standards we're announcing with the proposed rule would not go into effect until the 24-25 school year. And then, as I said earlier, many of the additional requirements are going to be phased in over the course of the next several years following that. So I think there is a recognition of the need for continued flexibility. Shannon, I think you probably understand the importance of that flexibility about as well as anybody. What can you offer in terms of what USDA ought to be thinking about doing more of or less of in this space?
I was really excited to hear in the Healthy School Meals Initiative the attention that's going to be given to local foods and farm to school initiatives and helping smaller and rural districts have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. But I would really like to see USDA help to ensure that our students have more seat time to eat lunch and breakfast in our schools. As we know, things like an apple or the celery sticks or carrots in my background take more time to eat. They take more time to eat. Healthy foods, they're just more time consuming to chew. And, I would hope that we would have more seat time for our children to enjoy the healthy meals that my staff and I are providing to our school district. Another thing I would like to see is supporting the school nutrition workforce to figure out a labor pipeline to our school districts and into our school cafeterias with workforce development. Any day, I am short, in all of my schools and all of my school cafeterias, my staffing levels can go from anywhere from 20% to 50% of my employees out in one day. So I would really like to see some support with our labor workforce here in the school nutrition programs.
This is an issue of workforce that we see throughout many of the mission areas of USDA, and with the American Rescue Plan resources, we are attempting to try to create more pipelines for folks in this business. I'm actually speaking to a group of community college trustees next week, and one of the messages I'm going to convey is the important role that community colleges can play in terms of meeting the pipeline needs, if you will, of critical areas and missions of our economy, particularly as it relates to the food and agriculture industry. So I will certainly convey that message on behalf of school nutrition operators. Got time for one more question, and that is really interested in how you think we need to or should engage the community at large, whether it's parents or school administrators or community leaders, healthcare professionals, military leaders. How do we get them more engaged in this issue of school meals? So the issue of time, the issue of adequate resources, the issue of flexibility can be understood, not just at the national level, but also at the state and local level. Let me start with you, April, if I could. Your thoughts about how do we engage communities more effectively, and then we'll go to Shannon, and we'll end up with Jamie there.
So again, as a PTA leader, I've seen firsthand how powerful it is when parents, educators, school administrators, community leaders, and more come together for our kids. The phrase, "it takes a village to raise a child," is true in so many ways, including when it comes to teaching our kids healthy eating and lifestyle habits and giving them a healthy start. As part of engaging others in efforts to support healthy school meals, it is important to ensure all voices are heard and valued in conversations, and that all voices are invited to planning and decision-making conversations. It is also important that students are engaged in this effort. Survey students in the school to get their input. PTA champions two-way conversations between families and schools. Be honest with the families about any product or supply constraints the school nutrition department might be facing, and consider the role local school health and wellness policy committees can play, offering more proactive engagement with school nutrition departments for planning purposes and increasing engagement of families in the process. It is critical that everyone work together to support school meal programs in their communities. We are stronger together. These efforts will make a difference for the well-being and long-term success of all children.
Great message. Shannon, your thoughts?
Similar to April, I think that parents, community members, teachers, faculty, staff. They need to participate in our school nutrition councils and wellness committees that we have. We need to continue to engage students in taste tests and recipe contests. Some seniors are now working in school kitchens for, again, the workforce development that we kind of talked about earlier. But I think that communities just need to get engaged and come to the school cafeteria and even eat lunch with us. I think that it's about spending time in our schools and in our school districts to volunteer to make a difference.
Amy?
I especially like the idea of having the open houses where we're having time in our cafeterias. We have opportunities where we could have community gardens within our school grounds, potentially. We have opportunities where students are able to survey themselves, create the surveys for additional student activities in regards to what we could do better in our cafeteria and food spaces. Have the students beautify those spaces with their families. We could upgrade those areas so that our cafe spaces are more inviting. One thing that would be potentially amazing would be just to have that space be a place where it's not just a cafeteria, but also a community space. So there's so many things that we can do to pull in our community into these cafe spaces so that it's not just a space where the kids get to sit down for a few minutes, inhale their food, and then they're off to the races, back to their activities. It really could be an inviting space where they have the opportunity to enjoy their healthy meals, know that later in the day, this will be a community space where our families will be there and we get to enjoy each other, but also a time where we grow as a community. Thank you.
I've got a few extra minutes here. And I'm going to take advantage of this because you all are experts and you've provided just a number of really interesting ideas and thoughts. And now I'm going to ask you to do the hard work. I'm going to ask you to identify what you believe the single most important thing we need to do to advance the nutritional quality and value of what our children have at school. If you had to pick one of those ideas that you've just expressed as being the most important idea, what would it be? Shannon, what would it be?
I think it is about community engagement. Ultimately, I think we need, ideas from multiple stakeholders to make a change in our school nutrition programs.
Jamie, what would you say?
I would say the potential to have pre-order options so that students with dietary issues get to also have and partake in our healthy options.
Okay. And April, you get the last word on this question.
Easier access to fresh fruits and vegetables.
Well, this has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking time. More importantly, I appreciate the commitment that each of you make every single day in the work that you do for our young people. I think over the course of the last half an hour, those who've watched this, I think, have had an understanding of the breadth of the importance of the school meals activities at schools. We've heard from a retired general who suggests that our national security is at risk if we don't attend to our children's health. We've heard from educators who understand and appreciate the connection between great nutrition and great learning. We've heard from physicians who understand and appreciate the challenges that can be created if we don't take the time and the attention and the effort to improve the quality of nutrition for our children. We've heard from individuals who are on the front lines of providing those meals, of many of the challenges that they face every single day, and the importance of the community understanding and appreciating how significant this is. And we've heard from parents who understand and appreciate that there needs to be a collaborative effort in order to ensure that youngsters have what they need from a nutritional standpoint, that it is culturally significant and culturally sensitive, that it also meets the dietary challenges that many of our youngsters currently face. And as people reflect on this, I hope that they understand that these standards are really designed to provide a nutritious meal because of the significance that that meal has to learning, to healthcare, to the future of this country. So I appreciate you all joining us today. I can commit to you that we are going to launch these proposed standards. We're going to listen and learn. We're going to continue to try to find ways in which we can be helpful because at the end of the day, every single day, that 15.3 million children who are enjoying a school breakfast or the 29.6 million kids who are relying on a good school lunch are relying on all of us to do the job right. And we are committed to doing that. So thank you all very much for participating. And I look forward to continued conversation on this. Folks, thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And again, really thank you for your commitment and your interest in this. This is just incredibly important. And we're really focused on it. We're going to try to figure out creative ways to be